Welcome to ONNpoint. I'm Tim Murphy, and joining me today on Point is Theresa Mudge. Hi, Theresa.
Hi, Tim.
Theresa is the Executive Director of Arch Hospice, and I first heard about Theresa. We were at the Big Bucket Challenge, the gala.
Yep.
My friend Sally Toivonen invited me.
Okay.
You know Sally from
Yes,
Arch. She does a
very well.
lot of fundraising for Arch
Sure
through
does.
the Backyard Broadway and other initiatives. Because her husband Alan passed away at Arch, and she said, as many other people say, once you've been through that experience and once you've experienced the hospice and the treatment that people receive there, the love and the care and the environment, you never forget it, and it always makes you want to give back. That's what Sally says, and that's what Sally does. So she brought me to the bucket list challenge. Well, she brought 2 tables up for all of us to go. And then I saw this video of this ridiculous woman who for some reason chose to run 100 kilometers through the desert in Utah. Hi, Theresa Mudge.
Hi,
that
Tim Murphy.
crazy lady was you.
It sure was.
So can we just start with, let's talk a little bit about Arch. You've been there for 6 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, as the whole time as the executive director?
Yes, sure have.
And you were saying to me, it's not even like work. You love your job so much. It's such an amazing experience to work there.
Yeah, so I'm a health administrator by background, and I very serendipitously, 6.5 years ago, found out that there was a position at hospice, and it was literally like within a week and a half, everything lined up from the point that I found out about the job opening to the job offer, and I am so grateful. It's amazing what happens in life, right? When we look back and connect those dots, because I feel like I'm meant to be there. I love it so much. I don't even feel like I work, and I mean that in the sense of it just feels so right. It feels I get to work with amazing people. We have loving, kind volunteers, staff, physicians, and we get to provide dignity and love. Like Arch is a place of love. It's that simple. It is a place of love. When you turn off 4th line into our driveway, like a lot of people share this with us, like we feel an immense sense of peace. And then when you open up the doors, we just feel that love exuding. So, and I get to see every day the kindness of people. So. Anyways, I could talk about this forever, but I'm just so happy.
Well, so the bucket list challenge, were you instrumental in the gala happening? Or, I mean, how, in your role, I know that there are other people who play other roles. I know Lee Randell does an awful lot as far as the events that go and the day-to-day running as well, but how involved were you in the actual bucket list gala itself?
Right, so the concept of the bucket list, we have a bucket list challenge was born, we have a very creative team, and there were several of us who were really inspired by Tiana Rutland, who ran a marathon after her uncle Bob, Hank, died. So she really spurred that thought process of, whoa, here's a really creative way to do good. And it was on her dream list. And we were like, wow. And so sometimes, later becomes never. And so what part of our advocacy mission is make it count. Like we create space for living. So let's live the life of our dreams, and let's just do it now. So that was really the concept of bucket list, because what we learn is that when we go there and face our mortality, it teaches us how to live. And we see the people we serve are so alive. They're so alive. So there's a lesson in that, especially in North American society where, some of us can be on that hamster wheel. And I know this. I can say this because I've lived it. And sometimes so it's the bucket list concept is really a nice fit with what we do at hospice in terms of our advocacy mission. So I thought, you know what, I'm turning 40 in April, and I've always wanted to go to the Grand Canyon. This was a dream of my father and I. Like, we've always wanted to go to the Grand Canyon, and I have run like several marathons. I started running in 2005, and I was the nerd in school. Like, I was the geek, like with the 98 average, and I was not the track star star or the athletic anything. Like, so
You were the
I laugh because
intellectual.
my friends in Nova Scotia would be like, what, her, Theresa, she did that? What? No, I'm just teasing, the labels we assign. But I just, like, so I started running and I loved it. Like, 5 kilometers became 10, became 21, became 42. I ran marathon, like I ran Boston Marathon a couple times.
Gosh.
Ran Chicago,
Okay.
Berlin.
I know. I want to know more about how this, because you know what, that part fascinates me. How it goes from just running for fun kind of thing into running a marathon, into running these, 100K through the desert.
Yeah.
We're going to take a break, Theresa.
Okay.
And we're going to come back and we're going to talk about how this progressed.
Sure.
Just the running part of it and you training and how that happened. And then we're going to get into the actual trip down to Utah. Yes. Woohoo! So stay with us on point. We'll be right back with Theresa Mudge and her bucket list after this. Theresa, when I first found you, I remember we were at the Arch Gala and we saw the video, and all I could remember was that your name was Theresa and that you ran across the desert. And so I sent an email to Lee at Arch saying, I want to interview that lady, Theresa, who ran across the desert. And that was however I referred to you from then on in, was Theresa who ran across the desert. Now, you've told us that you were not much of an athlete in high school, and that your friends in high school will probably be surprised to hear that this is how where you ended up. When did running start for you?
So here in the Sault, it started in 2005. So I was walking through the station mall one day and I thought, I kind of want to try something. So I see this running clinic and I signed up for it. And I loved it. So Davy Taylor.
And I know, I know Davy Taylor. Yeah. Davy works for the Algoma District School Board now. Yeah. But when I met Davy Taylor, he was a personal trainer at Good Life, and he was my personal trainer.
Oh my gosh.
I love Davy Taylor.
I love Davy Taylor.
He's so inspirational. He's so funny.
Yes.
So nice.
Yes.
And I know that Davy was a runner because he did some crazy run up like the Northwest, not like the Arctic or something, like nuts.
Yeah, so it was an 80K race, and I just remember,
he
Lou
ran an 80K race?
Yeah, Lou Orzetti, Doug Richardson, Davy Taylor were our clinic instructors, and Davy's story really, and what he did, that 80K, I was like, wow. So I feel like the seed was planted way back then in 2005. I didn't really know it at the time because my goal was, I'm gonna run 5, but 5 became 10, became 21, became 42, became... I registered for other ultramarathons, and I didn't get to the start line.
You didn't get to the start line?
Well, no, because I thought, I'm not going to be fast enough. I'm not prepared. Life happened. And so I really feel like I have to put my best foot forward before I do something.
Ah,
so
you're that kind of a person.
How much suffering do you want to endure becomes the question, right? So you can't fake 100K. Like, you just can't. Like, if you don't put in the time.
Before the 100K, which was the one you did in Utah.
Yeah.
For your bucket list, what was the longest run you had done before the 100K?
In a race, 42 kilometers, so that is a marathon. But in training, 60 kilometers was my longest
That's still
run.
not even close to 100.
No, but there's a fine balance, right? So you don't want to get too injured. So you have to be mentally, physically prepared, but you don't want to, tip the scales and be too... You're not going to run 100K in training.
Of course, no. So it's conditioning.
Conditioning, yeah.
Where did you run in Sault Ste. Marie?
Everywhere. Everywhere.
I mean, you were going to be running through the Grand Canyon.
That girl in the middle of the winter that you guys saw. No, I'm just teasing.
Did you go on slopes?
Yeah.
So actually, see how intelligent my questions are? Did you run up slopes?
This is a great question. This is a really great question. So I run east, I run north, I run west, I run everywhere in town. However, so my friend Mir Shaffi, he runs like ultramarathons galore. So he's another source of inspiration for me, as are many people here in Sault Ste. Marie proper. So we run actually on 4th line, I think it's called Gooley Avenue. So we're 4th line Gooley Avenue intersect. We have a 1K up, down, up, down, up, down. Mir will run it 60 times in a day. Theresa has run it like maybe 30. I can't do what he does, but we have to get elevation training. And so Hiawatha is fabulous. But here's the thing. When you get to these ultramarathons and these races, there's nothing in Sault Ste. Marie that truly prepares
you
for this.
For this.
I know. Like
Mike in the booth, I said I didn't want to see any pictures, but if there's any way you could bring up the one shot of like the big Grand Canyon picture and put that up, we could show people. I said we were going to say this till the next segment, and now I'm throwing a monkey wrench into Mike's plans.
Yeah.
But there's a picture of there it is.
Yes.
So, as people can imagine, nothing in Sault Ste. Marie could prepare you for that. Are you kidding me right now?
Truly. I know. So here's the thing. We had 7 flight cancellations. So remember the April storm that just never seemed to end?
Was it a snowstorm?
Yes, remember that snowstorm in April?
In April that never ended.
That never ended. So we had 7 flight cancellations.
Trying to get down there?
Trying to get down there. So, you know, we were losing heart, actually, and faith by this point, because my husband and I both said, if there's one more flight cancellation, this is not happening.
Not meant to be.
Not meant to be. So my race was on Friday, April 20th. And so when we finally got out, we changed.
Birthday.
Yeah. Well, happy belated birthday to Tim's mother. So on that day.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry.
Sorry. It was also Hitler's birthday, but that's okay. It's just a thing.
It's a thing.
So you get there. So what happened? 7 cancellations.
So we were supposed to go into Phoenix, and you know, I was turning 40 the week after on the 24th.
Well, happy belated birthday.
So we go to Las Vegas. So if you know me, Las Vegas is the exact opposite of everything that I believe in.
Really?
Well, really. It's just not.
It's total tacky glitz and glamour and
Well,
like
it's not that. It's just,
commercialism and
yeah, commercialism. It's not down to earth or like or anyways, we won't go into
I
that.
love Vegas. But I don't run 100 kilometers either.
So anyways, I get to Vegas, or we get to Vegas, and wow, Nevada is gorgeous. So we drove, it was 2.5 hours from Las Vegas to Mount Zion. So I ran beside Mount Zion National Park, which by the way, is one of the most stunningly beautiful places I've seen on earth thus far of the places I've traveled.
No
It
kidding.
is so beautiful, so beautiful. As we're driving there, I look out the window and Nathan's like, Theresa, do you see that? That's the mesa that
Oh,
we're
I thought
running
you were going
up.
to say there's Celine Dion.
So I look up and I'm like, oh no.
So then you saw
Oh
that.
my. So ignorance is bliss, right?
That's when you saw that
Yes.
picture we saw?
Yeah, yeah. So I was like, oh dear, I did not understand nor did I appreciate what I was really getting myself into. So
Until that moment.
Here's what got me through. All the love from everyone. So I curated an inspiration leading up to the race. Just, you know, there's so much love from the people that I know, my family, my friends, my colleagues, everyone here in the Sioux. So, you know, my friend Jen writes a mantra every day on her arm. So I had
Is she a runner? Is that
yeah,
a thing?
she runs.
Is that a
She runs. Well, she's for her, it's more enlightenment or like just a really.
It's this thing she does.
Just being present. She just does this, which I think is a really amazing thing, and I love this. And so I was like, wow, that's it. I'm going to curate inspiration because here's what happens in long distance running. Invariably, we end up going to a place at a certain point during a run like, oh my gosh, why am I doing this? This is so painful. I don't think I can go on. Like, you know, things happen to your body, right? So some of us get nausea, vomiting, others like get pains, we're tired. And so I thought, if I have all this like inspiration, these inspirational thoughts, I'm just going to write them down in case like my cognitive functioning isn't there, right? During this. So I channeled it, right? And it was awesome.
When we come back, I want to hear about some of those things that you wrote, because there was one that I really liked that we talked about. So we're going to come back after this brief message. Stay with us, ONNpoint, and Theresa Mudge talking about her bucket list challenge and running through the Grand Canyon, the deserts of Utah. We'll be right back. Thank you for sticking around ONNpoint. I'm back with the delightful and effervescent Theresa Mudge. Look at that, eh? I'm enjoying your company immensely. Now tell me about, okay, so when you're running these ultra marathons, what is an ultra marathon by definition, by the way?
An ultra marathon by definition, just so you know, and I'll quiz you later,
Okay.
is anything beyond 42.2 kilometers. That's a marathon.
Who made that rule
a
up,
marathon is actually
42.2?
it
What-
is a distance, 42.2 kilometers.
Okay.
Yes. So an ultra, typically you'll see 50 kilometers, 80 kilometers, 100 kilometers,
These are all
160, all ultras.
I'll tell you, you know what,
Yes.
for me, 5 kilometers is a maximum ultra beyond anything I could humanly imagine. So sometimes you go to these dark places.
Oh, yes.
Your body is exhausted, your mind is starting to go, and so inspiration can come from simple things like messages written on your arm.
Absolutely. So I was feeling the love that day from Sault Ste. Marie and from my family. And one of them that I put on there that really made me laugh, and Jake Rendell will really appreciate this one, is this is not a drill. It truly got me through. There were
This
many
is
moments.
not a drill.
This is not a drill.
Because he had had fainting spells. This is his story, was
Yes,
that
he fainted one night, and he said to his wife, "This is not a drill." And
Because
she's like, Jake, you could have said something like, "Help! I'm going down. Like I need help." But he said, "This is not a drill."
because he'd had some fainting before and he had
I
it for a
know.
while, and then
Yes.
she did, yeah. So
We
this-
love Jake, and I mean this
We
in the
do.
best.
I know him too.
I know, in the best spirit. But you know, I was channeling. I had to channel comedy.
Yeah.
Like this.
Oh, that's
yeah.
the other thing.
Yeah.
You said that we've got some pictures coming up about the mud that you ran through,
Yes.
and that people were wiping out, and so not to laugh at them, but this was
Yeah.
part of your you needed
Yeah.
to actually you were using the comedy, the energy from the comedy,
Absolutely.
not laughing at any, and nobody was injured. This was just like whoop whoop whoop, like
Yeah.
the Three Stooges kind of thing.
So here's what happened.
Okay.
It was like 33 degrees before the race and after. Heat really does me in. That is my weakness in running. And so I was very lucky. It was 17 degrees that day. However, it was raining for 6 hours, the first 6 hours. So we ascend the first mesa. And when we get up on top, like, you know, I'm in the middle to the kind of back of the pack. Like I'm just going to finish it. I'm not going for a great time, like a great performance time or anything like that. I just want, strategically, I want to beat the Grim Reaper, because there is a Grim Reaper that pulls you off the course if you don't make
They call him the Grim Reaper.
no joke. Yeah, I'll get to that. So anyways, so on this mountain, I had like mud caked like this on the bottom of my shoes. So I don't know if it was like 2.5 pounds, 5 pounds per leg, but it was significant. So I thought, oh dear, like this could really get me down. And people were like kind of complaining a little bit around me. But then I thought, no, Theresa, you're just going to channel the comedy around you. So I started seeing people like wiping out. They were fine. But I was like, you know, I had to focus on the comedy that was happening around me. And it worked. So for about 15K, I had to run through that. I know, so I'm only at like 15K to begin with. So from 15K to 30K, this is what I went through. And I'm like, you know, I can't suffer mentally like to that extent early on. So it's whatever like gets you through. So the way I can best describe this, as a friend once described the Camino, was it was like a life within a life. Like there was adversity, there was comedy, there was camaraderie, there was joy. Like there was like kind of like the range of emotion. You know, there wasn't self-doubt.
Good for you.
No, I'm kind of blessed with maybe some people call it stubbornness. I would say grit, determination. Yeah, if I set my mind to something, like, you know, it's going to have to take something very significant.
I don't know you very well, but in the little time we spent together, I can gather that you're a force to be reckoned with. Now, let's go to the training. You're back here in Canada, and you're training, and you're trying to, you know, get longer and longer. You hit 55K. We have a picture, Mike, I believe, of the training. This is your actual. What do you call the thing?
Yeah. So this is my Garmin.
Your Garmin?
It's a watch that has a GPS.
There
so
it is.
essentially,
now.
it tells me my pace, my time,
So
my
you
distance.
ran 55 kilometers in 6 hours and 49 minutes and 9 seconds.
Yeah. So that
And
was the training run.
When you run that distance, you are not stopping?
No, you know, and I have to say, like, what really got me through a lot of these runs was Pino's Donuts.
Hey, look.
Yes, okay.
That's a nice plug. You know you're going to get free donuts from Ben Pino from now on. Now, there you are. This is your son.
Yes, this is my 5-year-old son, Alexander.
Hi,
so this
Alexander.
this is the day before the race. So he, last summer, he
Look at
told...
the incline
I
up,
know.
didn't you?
So, like, yeah, that day we were looking up, and the next day I was literally running up it. But he told us when he was 4, Mommy, Daddy, when I turn 5, I'm running a 5K race. And you know what? He sure did it. He did 2 races, actually.
Your 5-year-old son has run
yeah.
a 5K race?
Mountain Maple and Run the Great Lakes
I don't
last
even walk
weekend.
my dogs
yeah.
around the block.
You know, I guess he doesn't.
Now we've seen this one. That's the
Yes.
Mesa.
Isn't it stunningly
It's
beautiful?
gorgeous.
So I ran up it and then on top of it, and then.
You ran along the top of it?
Oh, it was so amazing.
Oh, the view
so
must have been
amazing.
incredible.
And well, even the one in the background, we ran on stuff like that. And here's the other cool thing about this race.
Yeah.
So for the last 50K, I was pretty much alone. And you know, fortunately, I have decent orienteering skills because you know, we had to look for pink flagging tape, and it was kind of like, do I go this way? Do I go this way? It wasn't as though there was always a clearly marked trail. Such a neat experience. And
who's this guy? Well, there's your son.
Okay.
So you're just, this is obviously,
Yep.
did your son join you
This
partway
is-
through just for fun? Or like?
This is the Dalton Wash aid station. So I went through there 2 times, and at this point, I'm at the 50-kilometer mark. So
Oh
this
my gosh,
boy,
you're halfway
okay,
there.
So this boy's name is Robert.
The guy in the red
Yes,
t-shirt?
he's 18 years old. Like, looks older than that,
Look
but
at
he's
the
18.
size of him.
Okay, so here's a story. So I met all kinds of amazing people on this run, and like. His story really stuck out to me because, well, first of all, he got us lost.
Robert did?
Robert got us lost, like
Damn
a little
you,
bit.
Robert.
I know, so we did actually go probably an extra 800 meters prior to this point, but oh dear Robert, he's such a good boy. So his dad runs like all kinds of ultra marathons. He's from upstate New York, and his dad said to him and his brother last summer, "You boys don't have the discipline to run an ultra marathon." And they're like, "Oh yeah, we'll show Dad." So he was running 100-milers, so that's 160K that day. So, but here,
he'd only ever run.
He'd only ever run like a 32-kilometer, like a 20-miler in training, which is like, what? Like, you know, us in running are like, I don't know how you do that. Like, there's a certain degree of preparation.
And he made it?
Well, you know what? He missed the last cutoff, so I looked up his time in the standings. So I think he made it to about 130.
Well, good for him,
I know, which is
though.
phenomenal. Like, yes.
Here you are in the terrain.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so this is actually descending from the first mesa. So mesa is essentially a mountain in the desert. And so this is after, remember the muddy shoes incident. So super, like, you know, it had just stopped raining.
And you're going
by this point. Yeah,
down.
and so I'm going down into Dalton Wash the first time. So Dalton Wash was where Nathan and Alexander, my husband and son, could see me. I know, not the most glorious picture of me, but no, I was feeling actually great exhilaration at that point because I knew I was going to see my boys very soon, and yeah, I know. So, and I didn't wipe that day. Just saying, like it was so muddy.
And you don't
and
change your shoes?
No, well, actually, I did. So there's strategic locations where you can have drop bags, and I did change my shoes on the way back. There was no point in doing it then because soon after this picture was taken, it was still drizzling. So, oh yeah, and
Look,
this is me.
You're there.
This is at the end.
I think that
So,
says, does that say finish backwards?
17 hours and 57 minutes. So I had 21 hours before the cutoff. So,
Wait, so this is
yeah.
what there? Oh, your
Aw,
son's there.
yeah, there's my little boy.
Wait, so this is how
Alexander.
long, Theresa?
17 hours and 57 minutes to do the 107. It was 107 kilometers.
107 kilometers.
Yeah.
17 hours and
57 minutes. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So, I loved it. It was so
I'm
great.
tired just from watching the pictures,
Oh.
so we're going to take a break so I can recuperate. And then I need to breathe, and the altitude is killing me. That's a thing, though.
It is a thing, actually.
Let's talk about that when we come back. And then also, I want to talk about what's next for Theresa Mudge.
Okay.
After that, for heaven's sake, we'll be back with more On Point and this really cool story. Stay with us. Well, we're going to wrap things up, Theresa, but before we go, I want to know about this vest you're wearing because this was your life support. Is this correct?
It's correct.
Your
So
entire life.
Best running purchase ever was this Solomon vest. So essentially this, I have my water. I was able to put my salt pills, my gels, my food.
Food? You carry food?
Oh yes, so in the back, I don't know if you guys can see this in the back.
Yeah, we can.
There's a pouch,
Yeah.
and so I could put my food, my extra clothes.
But not a lot of food. That's not a very
No.
big pouch.
So here's the great thing about ultramarathoning.
Yeah.
It is like if you like buffets and you like candy and nachos, it is the best thing. Like there are 11 buffets on my
All the
race.
way, well, over 100 kilometers. you
over
hope.
the 100 kilometers, and it was
11.
absolutely spectacular. So my favorites were the M&Ms. I really liked the warm tea. I liked the nachos, the turkey sandwiches.
When you're indulging, you are not stopping.
No.
Because stopping would be, you could get into a funk, your body can
Yes.
start to seize up, your
Yes.
mind starts to go,
Yes.
so you just got to keep
Yeah,
going.
so a wise person told me, Mira Shaffi told me, whatever you do not stop in those aid stations. Just eat, run.
Eat, run.
Get in, get out.
You had
Get
to run
in,
at
get out.
night. It never
I
occurred to
did,
me.
yes.
17 and a half hours, of course you're running in the dark.
I did.
And they don't light the path for you. You have to have a flashlight.
Oh, they sure don't.
And you were nearly near a
Okay, so here's
crevasse.
ignorance is bliss, right? So guess what happened to me? So in the last 8K, I was running along a ravine that I had no idea I was
Was it
running
a
along
ravine?
this ravine. And it was like hundreds of feet. And the path was very narrow. It was literally like this. I had no idea, despite having a flashlight, I did not understand, I wasn't aware that there was a significant drop. So everybody who I talked to after the race was like, whoa, that was so scary.
You were
And
like,
I'm like, oh, I didn't even
You
know.
didn't know it was there because it was so dark.
I know.
Now, so Theresa, what is next? Now that you've done these, you've accomplished this, your bucket list,
yes.
what's next?
Okay, so, well, now that I've had time to think about it, because I would have said absolutely nothing, no, I'm going to run in October the Grand Canyon, so rim to rim to rim. So that was Mount Zion National Park area in the southern Utah desert. So I'm going to run south rim, down into the canyon, up to the top, and back. So it's 72K. So my friend,
72.
Mir, and my husband Nathan and I are doing that in October. Bucket list, just love that. It's not a race, it's just us doing it as explorers and adventurers. We want to do that. So.
And you're going to come back and tell me all about it.
And I am going to do a 100-miler.
Are you?
I can't believe I'm saying it, but I am going to do 160K. Why not? Because you know what? I didn't even know if I could do this, and I thought that's the thing. I have a growth mindset, I would say, and I'm curious. And it's what is that limit? I don't know, but I loved it so much.
Well, let's find out. Let's find out how much, Theresa, how much you can push yourself, and you're an inspiration. A pleasure to meet you.
Oh, this was so fun.
Thanks for your time. We'll see you again, and we'll see you again on Point with Tim Murphy, and we'll be back with another episode tomorrow night. Stay with us. Bye for now.
Bye.
Theresa, thank you.
Thank you. Oh my God, I love it.